A Western New York photographer is getting worldwide recognition for a recent portrait he took, winning the James Beard Foundation Photography Prize.
We are now joined by the award-winning photographer, Luke Copping. All right, Luke, thanks for stopping on by.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us about, and we're going to show you the winning submission here, but tell us about your work and what you do.
Sure. I'm a commercial photographer and director based here in Buffalo. I mainly do commercial and advertising work. I work for brands like M&T Bank and Riches locally, but nationally I shoot for Sports Illustrated, Forbes magazine. I've worked for brands like Ardbeg Whiskey and Puma, just to name a few.
Wow. And then this image here is at Moriarty Meats. If you don't know where Moriarty Meats is, it is in North Buffalo. If you've never been there, shame on you because it is amazing. But when did you take this image? And that is the owner of Moriarty Meats, correct?
Yeah, that's Tom Moriarty. He owns the butcher shop with his wife, Caitlin. This was taken at their original Grant Street location before they moved to Elmwood. But they've been around for years. They're a whole animal butchery. They have a lot of great relationships with local farmers. Fantastic meat. I'm a customer, have been for a long time. They've opened a restaurant now. It's one of my favorite spots for lunch. Probably, arguably, one of the best beefs on Weck in town.
I agree. Yeah. I totally agree with that. Why did you take that picture? You were just fooling around, or it was something that they wanted from you?
This was an assignment for a local blog, Buffalo Rising. They were doing a profile on Tom, and I was working, collaborating with them at the time on some stories. I had a lot of creative freedom in how I created the image, but it was a story on an up-and-coming business at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was reading one of your quotes, I believe, in Buffalo Rising, that picture has meant a lot to you over the years, right? Why has it meant so much to you?
I think as a photographer, there's a lot of appeal to creating an image of people you have a connection with. I started off as a customer of Tom's. I was a big fan of what he was doing, especially in the Grant Street neighborhood. I loved his product. I bought stuff for my family. I still bring my kids in there every now and then, probably on a weekly basis to buy meat for the weekend. If we're having a cookout, grilling, that's the place to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about this James Beard Award. When we're talking about a James Beard Award, generally people think of a chef kind of winning something like that. But this is a photography award. Tell us how prestigious this is to win. I know it's highly prestigious. And you were in London when you found out about this. Yeah. You were there at the
So the James Beard Foundation Photography Prize is part of the World Food Photography Awards, which is sponsored by Beamy, a broccoli company. But they have a multitude of categories, ranging from actual food photography to stuff like the James Beard Foundation Award, which is focused more on people who create food, especially in America. So I was already traveling in Europe when the award ceremony was happening. In London, I was in Lisbon, Portugal, and it was a quick hop over to London for the award show. That was at the Mall Galleries, just off Trafalgar Square. We got to, party and have some champagne with a bunch of other great artists. It's an amazing collection of work that's going to be touring. I think it's left the Mall Galleries. I think it's currently at the Museum of the Home in England right now. And I think it's going to have a few other dates around the world that I'll be traveling to. But I actually had 2 images in the contest. The one of Tom was the winner. There's another image of Ryan Fernandez from Southern Junction that was also finalist in the same category.
Wow. Tell us about the judging and that process. I'm not asking you to get in the head of the judges, but what are they looking for, and what do you think they took away from that picture?
I'm not sure what they're looking for, but it's a pretty prestigious judging panel. I mean, it includes names like Jamie Oliver, David Loftus, Rene Redzepi from Noma, which was for a long time one of the best restaurants in the world, George Motes. These are a lot of luminaries in the food space as well as the design and art spaces who were on the judging panel this year.
And was there some sort of response or summary and any type of reaction that you got from the judges?
Other than the award, no. No, you don't really get feedback from them. It's just, you sort of find out if you're a finalist in the first round, and then the finalists will go on to the final show in London where you find out who the placing images are, the top 3 in each category.
Well, what was your reaction, I want to know?
Pretty stunning. I remember being there. It was hosted by Odom Yodelengi, a very popular celebrity chef, and when my name got read out, I saw the 2nd and 3rd place images come up, and it wasn't one of mine, so I had hopes that maybe I was number 1, and then I saw my image come up on the big board, and it was from there on that it was a pretty fun night. We got to celebrate.
Yeah.
What was the experience like in London?
London's amazing. I mean, I've traveled a lot of places in the world shooting different stories, been in Vietnam, and, I was most recently in Europe. This was my first trip to London, absolutely fantastic, but we didn't get to spend long there, so hopefully we'll be going back soon.
Did you get any hardware? Anything that they actually give you? Or?
Yeah, we got a plaque, we got a little gift bag with some champagne, some celebratory snacks, yeah. it was pretty nice.
That's fun stuff. Yeah.
I love that you live here in Western New York. You're from Toronto, you said. Just really quickly, why Buffalo? Why live here? You're obviously a world-renowned photographer.
So I moved here from Toronto as a kid. I didn't have a lot of choice in that. My parents moved me here. But I've lived in Western New York for 30 years, and I've lived other places, but I keep coming back here. I think Buffalo has a great story that's emerging constantly and always evolving, especially in the food scene. One of my big pleasures is photographing the restaurateurs and food purveyors here in the city. It's something I specialize in, and people like Tom and Ryan Fernandez are sort of rewriting how people think about Buffalo's food scene.
Yeah, a lot of great photography here in Western New York, in Buffalo. All right, Luke, thank you. Congratulations once again. Thanks so much.
Luke.
Thanks for stopping on by.